Hey everyone, Alan here, talking tunes, and time for a long overdue CD update. Some new stuff added to the collection. Cookie joining us here to talk about the CD update. So let's get right into it. Actually, CD update plus one 8-track. So we'll start here with the Genesis Foxtrot 8-track. So that's the only odd one out. There's the Genesis 8-track. But if you recall, the massive progressive rock haul that was, I think, the last update even, there's a little addendum to that, a stack that I missed. So kind of start there, and this will be kind of an addition to that. So there's plenty more to come here. This is Alfonso 8, or Douze Alfonso. Claude Monet Volume 1. It went by Douze Alfonso and then Alfonso 8. Italian progressive rock. And a couple from Ange here. Parles Fils de Mandrin. Okay, and then the other Ange, Au-delà du délire. And my best French, of course. Always try to pronounce things phonetically. It's the best I can do. Arena, here's Pride. Next, a B-side. This is Tadj Mahall Gates is the name of the album. A couple from Atoll. This is Tertio, or the third album. Another from Atoll. This is Musiciens-Magiciens. This one is from Celeste. This is self-titled. Of course, CD issue. Many of these released on vinyl initially. Here's Cirkus 1 Plus. Cliffhanger, Hope and Despair. This is from 95, I believe it was. 98, actually. Okay, another Cliffhanger. And this one is Not to Be or Not to Be, right? Yeah, I always get confused. Musea put this out. Another one on Musea. A lot of the European progressive rock on Musea or Mellow Records, perhaps. Deyss, this is Vision in the Dark, Deyss. Here's one from Djam Karet on Cuneiform Records. This is Devouring. Here's a self-titled release from Dragonfly. The CD issue comes with some bonus tracks. Two bonus tracks, I believe the last two, Humdinger and the Riddle Princess. Musea put this one out. Another one from East, the band out of Hungary, and this album is Huseg, my best Hungarian. Edhels, this is Angel's Promise. A compilation album from Eela called Symphonic Rock, and it contains a couple of their albums on here, so really a compilation of sorts of their two albums. So you can say it's basically these two albums. Okay, here's Fancyfluid, King's Journey. Move these aside here. This is Flute or Flight. I mean, it's F-L-U-G-H-T with some umlauts over the U. So. Flute. This is Galleon, From Land to Ocean, the epic double album. Glass Harp, Synergy. Here's Halloween and their album Le Festin. This will be another Musea release. Happy Family, Japanese progressive rock on Cuneiform. Here's Iconoclasta y Busca de Sentido. Zildji's Bane, and this one is The Voyage. Released by KBB. This is Lost and Found. This is Musea, yes, a lot of Musea in here. Okay, this is Landmark, and this album is The Vision Pit from those guys. An album from Like Wendy called Rainchild. Machiavel's next here. This is Jester, CD issue of Jester. Here's an album from Magus, Magus. I always want to say Magnus when I see the band. This is The Garden. Mona Lisa out of France, Del Hombre a la Lumière. An album from Mostly Autumn. It's music inspired by Lord of the Rings. And this one here, give a shout out to John in the VC. This is the CD issue of the Step Ahead album Musea put out. He recently, well, not so much recently, but a little while ago, since we're long overdue here on the CD update, he recently acquired, through me, the vinyl version of Step Ahead, which was a friend of mine's vinyl, and he picked it up from him. So there's the CD issue, which I'm sure John has as well. All right, let's keep things moving on. That was kind of that progressive rock hall leftover bunch. So I kind of put things in somewhat of an order. Doesn't really matter. Just keep going. This is the latest from Airbag, The Greatest Show on Earth. This is the new album from Amuse Bouche called Come Holy Ghost, vinyl issue coming, which will be in the next vinyl update. Okay, As the Sun Sets. This is Each Individual Voice is Dead in the Silence. This is a mathcore, grindcore band. You might have heard of the band Daughters. If you're familiar with Daughters and you're not familiar with As the Sun Sets, this is who they were previously. This is an EP of theirs called 7744. Here's some jazz rock out of Ohio from Blue Monsoon. The album is called Hot Tub Maintenance. Here's another album from Chris Schambruin of Sky Architect fame. This is Days of Summer Gone, and a lot of folks comparing this album, maybe not in, well, in sound maybe, but in style, to Engelgard. He uses a lot of acoustic instruments here on this album, and by that I mean, you know, he's not really heavy, and it's not really progressive metal or anything like that. But there's been drawn comparison to Engelgard, which I find pretty cool. It's cool to be compared to Engelgard. This is Colossal's EP, Brave the Elements. Well, I don't think actually it actually has a title, but I believe, I always recall it being called Brave the Elements. Track 6 is called Brave the Elements, but this is their first EP, Colossal. Some indie rock, Midwest emo out of Chicago. Asian Man Records put it out. Crippled Black Phoenix, and this is Love of Shared Disasters. This Digipack, Gatefold. Is it a double disc? No. Alright, this is a band that is called DDMMYYYY. Date, month, year. And the album is called Are They Masks, actually. Dead Letter Circus, new album. And this contains some bonus tracks. The Catalyst Fire, it contains 3 bonus tracks. Yep, 3 bonus tracks. A couple of acoustic tracks. It looks like an extra unreleased track. Dreadnought, U.S. progressive rock. This is the American Standard. This is a reissue of this album, which was originally released in 2001. And new stuff from Dreadnought. This is an EP called Have a Drink with Dreadnought. Very cool. Here's the latest Dream Theater release, the deluxe edition here with whoa, there goes that. Oh, those are the inserts that came with it and the cover sticker, which I usually try to save. This has the 5.1 audio mix on it. Okay. Drop that one. Okay, this is Yamataka Ai and John Zorn. The part of his 50th birthday set of birthday releases, 50th birthday celebration releases. Fred Frith also appears here on the album. I-Zorn Duo is what I call it here. We have Volume 10 and Zadok Records. Fatal Fusion, this is a debut album out on Charisma Records from the band Fatal Fusion. It's called The Ancient Tale, some symphonic progressive rock. A live release from Flash called In Public. And they go by Flash featuring Peter Banks here on the release. in public. It was released, recorded, I should say, 1973, January 21st, 1973, to be specific, at the Cowtown Ballroom in Kansas City. So it's a digipack release, or gatefold, however you want to call it. Flying Colors, this is live in Europe. A double disc from them: Steve Morris, Neil Morris, Casey McPherson, Mike Portnoy, and Dave LaRue. Live in Europe, 2 discs. Alright, Frommas, the band is from Uzbekistan. That's how they kind of formed their name. Sodom and Gomorrah, released on 10T Records. Here's a progressive metal, striking progressive metal from Ohio, called Gravity. Their new album, The Edge of Eternity. I'm following these folks since they were quite young. And they're fantastic musicians, fantastic folks too. Illusion Sequence. This is an interesting find here. The Other Side of Tomorrow. This is progressive metal as well from Ohio, and I remember hearing this and hearing a few previews of songs online of this band circa 2006. That's when this was released, and I really enjoyed it. Caught on, and all these years later, it appearing still on my wish list. I didn't get a chance to get a copy of it, but I hunted down the members of the band and inquired about if it was still available. So I picked this up from them. Illusion Sequence, The Other Side of Tomorrow. Again, progressive metal from Ohio. They're only released not together anymore, but pretty cool to have this in the collection. And certainly thanks to the guys for letting me to reach out to them and not think I'm a little strange for all these years later trying to get a copy of it. The latest from Carnival is called Asymmetry. More progressive metal from Ohio here. Sensing a trend. But Killbot Zero, this is self-titled release from these guys. They're out of Bowling Green, Ohio, I believe. And has an epic track on here called Optimus Prague. And there's a interesting story that goes behind Optimus Prague. Interesting inside story, but there's a story behind the song, I should say, an official story from the band. I'll post it on the Talkin' Tunes Facebook page, facebook.com/TalkinTunes, and I'll post the information about that, and there's a video that's associated with it, Optimus Prague from Killbot Zero. All right. And the new album from La Tulipe Noir, and a little note from them saying, here's a new album, thanks. Matricide, new one put out in Musea. All right. James LaBrie's latest solo album, fantastic album. Didn't really enjoy the last one too much, but this is in permanent resonance on Inside Out Music. Really enjoyed this one. Minus the Bear, Acoustics 2. Put out Acoustics 1 a couple years back, acoustic versions of their songs. And this is recently released, Acoustics 2. Mike Kinsella of Owen. This is one of his other bands. This is Owls. Jade Tree Records put this out. New music from the Opium Cartel. Really enjoy this album and enjoy this band. Ardor is the name of the album on Turmo Records. And if you're not familiar with the Opium Cartel, but you're familiar with White Willow, you want to check these out, or check them out, I should say, because this is members of White Willow, essentially, with a couple different vocalists. So it's more of a progressive pop style, or it's less progressive rock than White Willow, let's put it that way. But it's still enjoyable, and it's certainly very progressive rock oriented still. But well, if you're not familiar with White Willow either, check out White Willow and check out the Opium Cartel. Okay, this is a CD issue of Piccio del Pazzo, Abbiamo tutti a suoi problemi. I butchered that, but Piccio del Pazzo CD issue there. The Prague Collective, another Billy Sherwood effort. Epilogue. It's the second release from the Prague Collective. We have Rick Wakeman on here, John Wetton, Peter Banks, Steve Morris, Larry Fast, Alan Parsons, John Wesley, Nick Turner, Jeff Downs, William Shatner, Mel Collins, Chris Squire, Patrick Moraz, Derek Sherinian, all kinds of people on this. And another Billy Sherwood fronted release. He's doing a lot this year, and this one, this album's no different right there. This is a debut album from the band Sarastro Blake out of Italy. And the album's called New Prague Mantics. Secret Chiefs 3, and it's their album Book M. Here's a release by the band Transport Aryan, Bleeding, and it took me a while to, I'm guessing that was intentional, but Transport Aryan, if you kind of blur them together, Transportarian, possibly. Anyway, this is the album from them, Bleeding. Here's Wisdom of Crowds, the debut album from Bruce Sword, Jonas Rensky of Pineapple Thief and Catatonia fame, respectively. Wisdom of Crowds. I see it sometimes filed under Bruce Sword with Jonas Rensky. I prefer to just say it's Wisdom of Crowds and a self-titled album. I don't know what it officially is known as. K-Scope put it out, but hey, another Billy Sherwood touched release here. This is a debut album from XNA called When We Changed You, produced by Billy Sherwood. And it's science fiction inspired progressive rock. Nice packaging here. Media book, digibook, however people call it. I think it's media book officially, but nice stuff there. Alright, again, I don't have these really necessarily. I mean, they're in alphabetical order. I tried to do that, but kind of broke them up a little bit. Next, we're checking on these Classic Rock Society compilations, New Species. It comes from their magazine, their publication, Rock Society. And I don't know if these are in order here, but we have Volume 8, Volume 9, Volume 10, New Species compilations. I mean, you get a lot of, obviously, newer bands, Sound of Contact on here, Comedy of Errors, Nemo, Magenta, Hogwash, Clive Nolan, live stuff from Arena, The Tangent on here. So yeah, you get a lot of cool releases. Sometimes some exclusive edits. Let's see here. This is a new remix or a new edit. There was a live, Arena track was live. So you get some cool exclusive stuff with that as well, and opportunity to check out new bands you might not have heard of. Here is Dewa Bujana, Dewa in Paradise, and actually this is a set of Moonjune's recent releases, Moonjune Records, out of New York, out of the New York area, and here, a set of their recent releases, Copernicus, this is Worthless, Dioletto, The Last Tribe. This one is the debut album from the band I Know You Well, Miss Clara, and the album's called Chapter 1. The band is out of Indonesia. Ligro, Dictionary 2. Here's the latest from Marben, Last Chapter of Dreaming. Again, these are all Moonjune releases. This band here, I guess, they go by the name of Shotgun. It's SH.TG.N, and it's self-titled, if you can catch that there on the spine. But it's kind of avant-garde metal, experimental metal type of stuff. All right, CMAC Dialogue, the latest from this Indonesian band. The Sixth Story. Soft Machine Legacy, John Etheridge, Theo Travis, Roy Babington, John Marshall on Burden of Proof. And The Wrong Object, the new album from them after the exhibition. Pulled out cover there. Okay, and another stack here, kind of, again, I didn't necessarily separate these for any reason, but they're separated. And we'll start back at the A's. Alter Teotemico, Sagno Arando, Bosnian Rainbows, new Omar Rodriguez Lopez band. This is self-titled. Cosmos Dream, How to Reach Infinity. It's a double disc effort. This is an album from Dream's Edge. They're out of Ohio. Self-titled. Here's the EP, well, or it could be considered an album, I guess. Empire from Gremlin, Grmln. Really enjoyed that album this year. Hot Chip. This is if you can dark and stormy, if you can kind of darken, can't see. That's what the cover is. But Domino put out this EP of some remixes on here and stuff. The Macrosoft Self-Evolving Mechanized Elves, or SEME, from the Macrosoft, some jazz rock. Music here from the band called the Pity Sex, and Feast of Love is the name of the album. Here from Italy, Quanah Parker, and the album is called Quanah. Actually, the band formed in the 80s and disbanded, or kind of long hiatus, but this came out in 2012, so long time coming for this release, and they're working on new material. Quanah Parker. This here, I want to show this. This is very cool. This is from the band Soma White. They're out of Poland. And this is the coolest packaging. I mean, the music's great too. It's great progressive rock out of Poland. But it's definitely, you have to highlight the packaging here because it's some unique stuff. This is very hard, hard book bound type of media book, even harder than that XNA that I showed you, the media book that you might have come to know by now that some releases are released in. But this is very, as you can see or hear. But you open it up here, and this is how it opens up. It's got this like velvet felt landing part for the CD or whatever, and the CD just kind of pops up in the middle here, and it's housed in this little slit, and it's very cool. And I think there's a magnet on it because it kind of clasps shut very quickly. So this is very cool. Soma White. Again, this is great progressive rock out of Poland. I recommend it. Anyway, besides cool packaging, very cool packaging. Here's this band called Sphinx, a Musea release. Okay, Suzanne Sundfør and the Silicon Veil. The band out of Italy, some Italian progressive rock progressivo Italiano. This band is called Tugs, and Europa Minor is the name of the album, mini LP. Here's Nick Turner, the new Nick Turner album, Space Gypsy, which he was touring for a little bit ago. And last but not least, this is two releases from Vous Karet, and this is Gil Sparati e Corpi Elemente, and Eteronimi is the name of this album, so a couple releases from Vous Karet. And that wraps it up. That probably really didn't go by faster than I thought when I look at the time. But I appreciate you checking out the latest CD update. Again, vinyl update coming very, very soon. We'll do the best of the year. I'll count down my favorite of the year, and we'll go from there here on Talkin' Tunes. Appreciate you joining me, and hope you'll tune in again next time. All right.